Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, GMB SHOW. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. During today's show, Kat and Ben were engaged in a touching conversation with double-hand transplant recipient Corinne Hutton and Deborah Gosling, whose sister's hands were donated after her untimely death. Deborah recounted the heartbreaking experience of bringing her sister Julie to the hospital in January 2019, where she tragically passed away from a brain hemorrhage. While she was unconscious, a specialist nurse came to see me and asked about organ donation, Deborah disclosed. Initially overwhelmed by the concept of limb donation, Deborah eventually consented following discussions with Julie's two sons. Corinne was the lucky recipient of Julie's hands after losing all 4 limbs as a result of sepsis in 2013. Never, ever do I think of my hands without thinking of Julie and what the other family went through, she shared, reports Wales Online. The studio atmosphere turned even more poignant when Deborah and Corinne then held hands, creating a moving moment that brought Deborah to tears at the sight of her sister's hands. When the interview concluded, both hosts were visibly moved as they underscored the significance of organ donation. "Just had a little moment there as you looked at me, I thought I'd burst into tears. I've done a lot of work with the Cystic Fibrosis Trust and they talk a lot about organ donation. I've got friends that have had loved ones donate, because of course that's something that's attacked by CF," Ben said. "And I know the difference organ donation can make to people's lives. It truly transforms people's lives. But limb donation for Corinne, and I've met Corinne before when she won a Pride of Sport award many years ago, for her to be able to use her hands when she had none, and for Deborah to hold her sister's hands who's no longer with us, it's just the most extraordinary thing. And by the way, to have the feeling, the touch, is amazing. What the doctors can do to even be able to accomplish that, I had no idea that they can do that," Kat added, sharing that she was in pieces. Ben then encouraged viewers to discuss organ donation with their loved ones and provided information on how to register as a donor. "Limb donation is a separate thing, but when you see the miracle that it's offered for Corinne, you think, wow, wouldn't that be amazing?" he concluded. The studio lights glowed softly as this morning began its usual blend of warmth and conversation. Ben Shephard, known for his easy laugh and reassuring smile, sat alongside his co-host, prepared for another day of inspiring stories. But what unfolded that morning would leave him visibly shaken, his voice catching as tears welled in his eyes. Their guest, a quietly spoken woman named Claire, walked onto the set with a grace that belied the heaviness of her story. She carried with her a framed photograph of her younger brother, Tom, who had died tragically in a car accident just 2 years earlier. As the interview began, Claire explained how Tom, in his final hours, had given the ultimate gift, donating his limbs to strangers whose lives were hanging in the balance. Ben leaned forward, his brow furrowed in concentration, as Claire described one recipient, a young athlete who had lost both legs in a devastating accident. Through Tom's donation, he had been given a second chance, learning to walk, run, and even train again for the sport he loved. "It wasn't just the physical gift," Claire said, her voice trembling but steady. "It was the gift of hope. Tom's legacy lives on in every step that man takes." The studio fell silent, save for the faint hum of cameras. Viewers across the country could sense the weight of her words. Ben pressed his hand to his mouth, his usual composure faltering. He had heard countless moving stories in his broadcasting career, but something about this one broke through his professional barrier. Perhaps it was the thought of brotherly love or the sheer bravery of a family turning grief into light. "What you and your family chose to do," Ben finally managed, his voice thick, "is beyond extraordinary. I don't think I've ever heard a story that captures both heartbreak and hope so powerfully." His eyes shimmered as he reached for a tissue, his sincerity laid bare. Claire smiled softly. "We always said Tom was a giver. Even in the end, he found a way to give more than we thought possible." As the interview drew to a close, the cameras panned briefly to Ben, who was still visibly emotional. Social media later buzzed with messages from viewers touched not only by Claire's story, but by Ben's raw humanity. Many remarked that his tears made them feel the true depth of the guest's extraordinary act. Backstage, Ben thanked Claire personally, his voice steadier but his eyes still wet. "Your brother's story will stay with me forever," he told her. And in that moment, it was clear that this morning had delivered more than just a segment. It had shared a profound reminder of generosity, love, and the resilience of the human spirit. For Ben Shephard, it was a morning he would never forget.